Okay, so it's been a great day in the neighborhood today. It's been like summertime. Been riding my bike to work today. And I work in a garden center. I work in a grocery store, but I get to manage the garden center in the summertime. That is like a sweet deal, I tell you. And it is one of the things I never would have saw coming back in my hell days. Never saw this one coming. So if you are thinking that you're in a pit of bloody despair that ain't going nowhere, think again, because you just do not know what the bloody hell is coming down the pipe, man. You really don't. Never in a million years, Somebody was teasing me about it. I get teased at work, because everybody thinks, and they're right, it is a cushy job that I just got handed to me. But I worked at the grocery store. This is my 7th year, maybe my 8th, and I've spent my fair bloody share of hours standing around the bloody till, I can tell you that. Freezing my ass off, bored stiff, taking shit and crap and all kinds of stuff and getting paid garbage wages. We just got a raise and it's not bad now though. And I've been there long enough, so I'm not complaining even about it anymore. So that's another great thing, I can tell you, that a couple years ago was not that way. So, good things can happen. Good things can happen. And, but what I wanted to say is, I was thinking, as I do every day, do you think every day? About, of course, everything. I don't think that those two foos are out of my head ever for a full day, in some capacity. And someday they will be. It's already a lot better than it used to be. And it got me thinking, what if, and do not ever think I'm judging anybody here, because I have been around the block. I know exactly how bad it can be. And, but what if it all just boils down to a relationship with somebody you love dearly that dumped you? What if we just condensed it down and just made it like that? What about all of the hurt that we could just stick to the wayside and just say, okay, and I realize there's all kinds of little subtleties that make it not quite so cut and dry, but what about if we just did that? Because I was thinking, really, sometimes I try to narrow it down, and that's what got me thinking, remembering what it was like when we first started seeing each other. And it's like that for a lot of people who start seeing each other, right? Almost anybody. You're like really nice to each other. You're really happy. Nobody's had a chance yet to fuck you up the you-know-what and everything. So everybody's really happy and nice to each other till somebody breaks the chain. And then it goes south. You feed off each other for the goodness or the badness. And unfortunately, some people are just too fucking stupid to figure that out, so they start with the bad and think they're going to get away with it or something, or they just don't care, and which is exactly my point. What if it just was a relationship? Reframe it in your head. It was a relationship. At one time, both of you were terribly in love, and then one of you fell out of love. It was him or her, or the other one. It was the other one. And you just got to get over it. I've had lots of relationships that I got dumped on, and they weren't pretty, and they were pretty fucking painful. And, they say what makes these ones different, and it's true. There's lots of things. I can't imagine being in a regular relationship with somebody who begs you to move to their city, so you pick up and move everything you own, and they tell you break off this tie, break off that tie, and all this bloody shit when they're cheating on you and don't even want you there. Most normal people wouldn't do that. So that is part of an example of the difference in a regular relationship. But what about if we just keep all that shit out of it and we just put it down to the very bare basics are they do that behavior because they've fallen out of love with you at some point for some reason. It doesn't matter that it's not your fault. It doesn't matter that it's because they mistreated you in the first place or they betrayed you, so you reacted, and then that's what they used as their excuse or their reason for not liking you anymore. because all of a sudden you weren't such a nice girl anymore, and, you know, different stuff like that. What about if we just forget it? Just say, okay, once upon a time there was a man and a woman, and they were in love and they got along fantastically. They were like the fairy tale of the universe. And then one day one of them woke up and they just didn't understand why, but they just didn't love the person anymore. And they found when they were with them, they didn't have the spark anymore. And they just didn't want to see them so much anymore. And then they tried to push them away, and everything escalated and got really nasty. The end. And what if we just did that and then let it go and moved on? What if we forgot about all of the he did this and she did that? Because to me, that is actually when you know it's over. When you can't even bother to argue about it anymore. When you just say, you know what? I'll take the blame. I don't care whose fault it was. All I know is this is the way it is. And it didn't work. That's a real shame. See you later. Have a good life. And that's it. And, you know, and then that's it. Why don't we try that? I'm going to try it. I have like 2 people to try it with. And, you know, it's true. One day, the first one, it happened just pretty much like I just said. We were like the fucking fantasy fairy tale of the universe, I thought. We walked down the street and I reminded me of, or I would fantasize, I guess, that we were like Antonio Banderas and Selma Hayek in Desperados when they're walking away from that bombing, flaming building. Like that was like a fucking kick-ass scene. And obviously that's not what he was thinking, because he pretty much just dumped me. But the thing is, instead of dumping you, they like pull pieces of your body apart little by little over the years, for as long as they can stretch it out, because in their head somewhere something is some kind of screwy, I guess. I don't know, you know, because we don't even have to go there. We really don't. All I know is one day we had a fantasy fairy tale, and the next day he didn't like me anymore. That's it. The end. Where I ran into my pain was dissecting it and denying it. And why didn't he like me anymore? When didn't he like me anymore? What was he doing? And for how long? And, you know, was he pretending? And why was he pretending? And was he using me? And why was he using me? And what was I then? And all this shit that just doesn't even matter, right? It just doesn't. All we need to know is we were together and then we weren't anymore. They don't like you anymore. That's all. And, you know, the trouble is that when they don't like you, it's rather painful if you keep hanging around and asking for more shit from them. So just like, get the fuck away. That's what it all comes down to. The second guy for me was a whole different situation, whole different guy. He has not been diagnosed that I know of, and we never got that close, so I don't know. But all I can say is 1 minute I thought that, you know, we were friendly and that he liked me at least, and then the next minute it was like he hated me. Who knew? The last time I was with him, it took me 3 days to get over it, because I was like floating around on cloud 9 thinking, wow, man, this is like fucking amazing. And the next time I saw him, he turned around and looked at me like he hated my fucking guts. And he like didn't answer me anymore on my phone, and you know, it just went from that to that. And that's the where it hurts, because it makes no sense. You know, he was into it too. It wasn't like it was just me. It's the hot and the cold, and you know, there's a lot of stuff. But for me, the story is, once upon a time there were 2 people and they got together because it was not the ideal situation, but they liked each other and it worked for the moment. And then all of a sudden he lost interest. That's it. That's it. It was never a deep thing, and it was not what I was hoping it would turn into. And That's it. End of story. End of story. They cashed out. They cashed out. And we just have to admit it and accept it. That's all. And get on our big girl panties and be a grown-ass girl. That's like how I got hooked in the first place, by being a grown-ass girl. And that's how I left. I said, well, it's what a grown-ass girl would do. And it's the truth, unfortunately. I would have made it differently if I could have. So anyway, and that's where we get stuck as well. Because we would make it differently if we could, but we can't. We can't. We have no control over other people. And that's what it comes down to. They are what they are, no matter what it is that we think they are or what they actually are. It's what they are. And we are what we are, and all we can control is what we are. So let's do it. Let's control what we are. You know what the best thing is that I realized today as well? If we can fuck up our life completely over somebody, over some guy or some girl, we can also make our life kick ass. All we need to do is decide. And that's what I'm doing, and it's really been going well. And I would love for you to do it too. So get out your damn journal, write your 3 big fucking steps forward, and get on it. And let me know how it goes.